I hear it all the time. Nobody cares about the cabinet picks. They shouldn't matter because ... Donald Trump runs everything, as if, case in point, just a couple of minutes ago, threatening 25% tariffs on all products coming into the United States from Mexico and Canada, unless Mexico and Canada close their borders for the United States, stop illegal immigration, stop drugs. And just in terms of what people talk about, don't they care a lot more about those kinds of policies than they do who's the labor secretary?
They absolutely do. The problem is that Congress gives the cabinet secretaries, who they are referred to as the executive officials within the Constitution, gives them extraordinary power beyond just what the president does. So, for example, it's the labor secretary who ordered businesses closed for COVID and ordered mandatory vaccinations for certain employers who are federal contractors. It's the Treasury secretary who actually sets most of the economic policy and signs off on the national debt and bond issuance without the president. It's the Commerce secretary who provides a lot of the trade policies, and it's the Attorney General who decides who to prosecute and not when the FBI is investigating, not the president. All these powers are delegated by Congress.
Okay, so you look at Biden's team of his current cabinet picks, Senate confirmation required cabinet picks, because there's a few that you do not require confirmation, chief of staff being one of them. You can have team of rivals, Abraham Lincoln, team of TV stars here. Donald Trump has a mandate on the economy, on immigration, and to fix woke and stand up for the little guy. Isn't that kind of what this cabinet embodies?
Yes, to a degree. I mean, certainly Hegseth at the Department of Defense, that's his primary role. Mehmet Oz, though, for Centers of Medicare and Medicaid, that's an accounting position, really. I'm not sure why he's there. He's a doctor, not an accountant. Bobby Kennedy Jr. at HHS certainly pays him back, but I'm not sure what it actually accomplishes. And honestly, if a lot of people made the argument that a second Trump term, he would be term limited, wouldn't run again, and would kind of be off the chains. And this is kind of what it looks like. At the same time, you've got media outlets recognizing it's probably the most progressive cabinet that a Republican has ever picked. So all these Democrats saying they're fleeing the country might want to stay here instead.
Okay, and I guess if we think about that, Donald Trump didn't really run as a conservative. He ran sort of as this populist, anti-immigration, half war hawk, half peacenik, can't change candidate. Isn't that what the cabinet kind of represents? And I say this respectfully to somebody who's a diehard, intellectually honest conservative, as you are, that's not really who Donald Trump ran as.
Right. This cabinet does reflect Donald Trump. It's a very populist cabinet. The problem with all populist movements ultimately is they kind of collapse through division. And you can see, for example, the Marco Rubios and the Mike Walzes in national security and state. It will clash with someone like a Tulsi Gabbard, who will clash with John Radcliffe, who's at the CIA, because they do have intellectual presuppositions that they form for the way they analyze and process things. And all of these people are completely different. So Donald Trump is ultimately setting himself up to have a team of rivals who clash, and he'll have to make the call.
59% of Americans say he is doing something right. They approve so far of the transition. Others, 53, say they approve of the picks. That's up 13 points. Is this a different Donald Trump? And in that sense, should commentators, forget the left because they won't, but should even Republican commentators give him a little bit more runway or a little more rope when it comes to the cabinet picks, and then see where the policy goes?
You know, look, for a guy like me who's a conservative, I'm concerned by some of these picks, whether it's Kennedy or Chavez DeRimmer. At the same time, this is the first Republican since 2004 to get the popular vote in an election. The people clearly like what he's doing right now, although whether they understand the details is beside the point. They're clearly giving him the benefit of the doubt. And so an anti-Trump obsession right now, I think, helps no one. But then I do think that people like me do have a responsibility to voice some objections to people, for example, like Chavez DeRimmer. And there are plenty of people out there now who do they really believe that Donald Trump knows what he's getting, or is it just payback to the unions or to Robert Kennedy for an endorsement or Tulsi Gabbard? We need to have some sense of that, I think.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below
to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.